Previously on Guiding Light.
And you are just taunting me. Let's see if
I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, she's got no breath, no pulse, nothing. Paddles.
She's gonna be okay.
Oh, she's doing fine. Don't worry, Gus. I'm in charge.
What?
Dash and Bash Carnage have escaped.
We now resume. It turns out the characters have a past history with these Carnage brothers. However, despite what you're probably thinking, no, these Carnage brothers have absolutely nothing to do with Carnage, the Marvel character. They just decided to bring Carnage brothers back for this crossover episode with a series that also has a character named Carnage, which is an incredibly bad idea because it's really confusing. And the response to the Carnage brothers breaking out of jail is to go hunt them down. And not because she's going to be a superhero later in this episode, but just because they think that's the best way of dealing with this situation.
Yeah, well, don't worry. They won't get far.
There you go. I'll find them. Come on.
Me too.
No way.
Yeah, that's actually a double no way.
She insists on going, though, and eventually they cave, letting her go. But before she actually goes, she zaps her sewing machine to presumably imply that she's about to make a costume for herself. And apparently they just waited for her while she made it. Maybe they're working on Spider-Man PS4 time, where you can just build an entire costume in literally seconds. On their way to somewhere, they didn't actually establish where they're going, just to track down the Carnage brothers. And she sees a guy on his phone while driving, and she's like, oh, that's kind of dangerous for him to do that. I know what's much safer. Just blow up his phone with electricity. Obviously, that won't cause him to crash. That's a much safer idea. It's not. Unfortunately, during their search, they didn't find the Carnage brothers. However, when they get home, they do. And the Carnage brothers are two large men who are like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and they finish each other's sentences.
Detective Cooper, as we live and breathe. Long time no see, babe. You're just the chicken we were looking for. 5 years, Cooper. 5 years, we wait for a moment. This is going to be so sweet.
Their conversation doesn't last long, though, because they quickly get into a fight that is just so unbelievably stupid and awful. I'm just going to let it all play out. Because what can I even say about a grown man screaming for his life because a vacuum cleaner is going near him?
Nothing left to do but surrender. But first, don't you think this room needs a little energy? Hey guys, prison has slowed you down.
A little bit.
Light on my feet, aren't I? Is this an electric moment? Blinded by the light.
She captures the Carnage brothers by magnetizing their wrists to the fridge, and she decides to go out for a run, and she runs into her father, who gives her a very Uncle Ben-esque inspirational speech. But this whole scene is completely undercut by the fact that they screwed up her contact lenses.
I mean, people everywhere, just like Springfield, are looking for something.
What? What are they looking for?
Something bigger.
Before her dad can finish, she just decides to run away. Just kind of Batman's him. And the conversation with him gave her the inspiration to now be the new superhero, Guiding Light. Yep, they just used the name of the show. That's her superhero name.
I can be that hope. I am that hero. I am the guiding light.
Now with a costume and name, she decides to go and stop crime. And oh my god, leave that skeleton alone. Why? Why is this a thing? Every single scene with this guy, there's a skeleton with him. You're just playing like with the candy? You got your skeleton around you? What is wrong with you? Stop it. Whoa, that was a close one. It's a good thing she stopped that car that was going 5 miles per hour. If this was heavy rain, that kid would have been dead for sure. After stopping a bunch of crime, she runs home and she just kind of Shazams her costume away. I don't know why she built a physical costume if she can just like will it into existence and out of existence, but okay.
Really? I didn't realize it was that late.
Yeah.
I should get dressed for work.
Yeah, can't microwave bread.
What? I didn't take that out of context or anything. He just says that for literally no reason at all. Then he like runs over to her and like goes to strangle her, I think.
Honey, hey.
I'll be right back down.
What is even happening anymore? Am I going crazy? Is this my problem?
What?
She bolts during another conversation, this time right in front of 3 people, like directly in front of them in plain sight. So it does look like she is teleported away. So I don't know how she's going to hide the fact that she's not a superhero now. The reason she ran away? Well, there's some people in the elevator that was free falling. How does she stop it? She electrocutes the control panel. And somehow it just stops.
Don't worry, folks. I'm a whiz with electronics. Thank you. Thank you.
We learned that apparently Spider-Man and the Hulk are fictional characters in this universe, which doesn't make any sense because, as we'll learn later, this takes place in the same universe as Marvel.
What if this whole thing is for real?
You're right. What if it's for real? Geez, I don't know. Maybe I should call my best friend Spider-Man, see what he has to say about it. I have him on speed dial right above the Incredible Hulk and the Easter Bunny.
Somehow, despite not really doing anything to hide her identity, like she doesn't do a voice, she still has the same blue streak in her hair, she still has the same crazy eyes, and somehow absolutely nobody, not even her friends, know who she is. Some boring stuff happens that doesn't really matter until she realizes, oh, I need a arch villain so I can be a proper superhero. So she goes after this blogger where we get a poop joke and then she phases through a ceiling. Despite everyone else not being able to recognize her, Skeleton Guy does. And it shows have this big emotional moment because he recognizes but screwed up once again by her contact lenses. As a result of the fact she's still producing electricity from her body, her and Skeleton Guy can't get intimate anymore. So they go back to the doctor to see if there's anything they can do about it. He reveals that the only way to deal with her issue is to have her body submerged in water because he tests it by putting her pinky in a cup of water and then her pinky isn't electrified anymore, which that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but fine. Not really a whole lot happens after this. Then eventually she just decides, I'm going to give up my powers, and she jumps off a lighthouse into a body of water instead of just taking a bath, and then yeah, that's pretty much the rest of the episode. Now, you may have noticed, not really a whole lot of Marvel in this episode, and the reason for that is the other half of the crossover comes from a Marvel comic, which is where it establishes that this is in the Marvel Universe. The comic starts off with them about to go to a movie when suddenly she's electrocuted again, turning her right back into guiding light. It cuts to New York where you find out, yeah, Spider-Man is actually very, very real in this universe. And it is this universe because we find out that this is in the same America where both of them exist because they go from New York to Springfield where Guiding Light takes place without going through any portals. They just fly there. While looking for Guiding Light, Skeleton Man remarks, "Can you 3 play My Wit is Bigger Than Yours somewhere else?" And the reason for this is, for some reason, in the crossover with the soap opera, primarily aimed at middle-aged women, they decided to put this little mini-comic in the back of a comic for very young children, which, as we learned earlier, not the best idea. This romantic moment between the two is interrupted very quickly because Wolverine and Spider-Man show up and just kind of start creeping on them.
Hey, Bob. I heard you into skeletons. Well, I can go jump into a pit of lava and then we can bone down literally.
The rest of the Avengers show up as well as a result of the energy reading they're getting from Guiding Light. Out of the blue, Venom and the Sinister Six all show up and they want to recruit Guiding Light. Then she gets called Toots. Toots? Toots! I assume Toots is supposed to be tits, but they couldn't say that in the comic, in which case just say something else. And apparently she's okay with being called tits by Skeleton Man, but not by Sandman, so she just murders Sandman. During the fight, Legs, as Wolverine lovingly calls her, flies right through Aquaman and she gets wet, so she loses her powers once again. Just like last time, she's completely fine. And then there's a weird little sequel hook. I don't know if that's just specifically for the crossover or for these comics. I don't know. And at the bottom, you will notice it says, if you miss Guiding Light's She's a Marvel episode on CBS, you can watch the episode in its entirety at www.cbs.com/daytime and check out Guiding Light every day on CBS. Now, this is a lie because if you actually go to that link, you just get a survey. And that's the crossover between Marvel and Guiding Light. Just a complete failure in every regard. both as a just independent piece of media, because the comic and particularly the show are awful. I got some chuckles out of it, don't get me wrong, but that's not a good thing because I'm making fun of the fact that they screwed up her eyes or just poor acting and whatever. And it fails in the fact that now I have no intent in ever watching Guiding Light because the episode was so poor. So just an absolute dumpster fire of a collaboration. Good job, Marvel. Good job, CVS.